Hello, welcome to the Tutors of Life podcast, where we research life so you don't have to. Episode 361. This is your host, Shaun Tutor.
And this is Sam. And this is a Tutor episode where we try to teach you something new.
It's kind of late.
Yep.
I would say it's actually 50-50, like if I eat late or not. I usually stop eating. When I'm good, I stop eating around like 6 to 6:30, 7 at the latest. Mm-hmm. When I'm bad, I just got done eating. And it really only happens if we have snacky stuff in the house. So we have buffalo chicken dip, and I just polished off the rest of that, and that fucked me up.
The worst thing is, like, right now, like, I have to eat in smaller chunks. So, like, everything's snacky to me. And so Shaun eats my snacks.
I'm like, well, if Sam's eating, I'll eat.
Yeah.
You know?
So, yeah, that's always fun.
So, I don't know. I know I got a little bit of a push. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna be bad. I know that pretty much I cleaned up my diet real good over the last 2 weeks because I knew
that Christmas was going to be bad.
Yeah, so pretty much Thanksgiving week was fucking atrocious. Mm-hmm. And as soon as it was done, I was like, I need to be as clean and disciplined as possible. And I did that until now we're at Christmas. And I'm like, I know that the next 4 days are going to be bad. Mm-hmm. And by 4 days, I mean, tomorrow shouldn't be terrible.
No, tomorrow should be good.
Friday shouldn't be bad.
Friday night?
That shouldn't be too bad.
Okay.
Saturday's going to be a fuck show.
Same with Sunday.
Sunday's going to be a nightmare. Mm-hmm. Monday should be okay. Tuesday, okay. Fuck my life Wednesday.
Not really, though.
That's true. Your family's not that bad.
Yeah.
So pretty much it's just this weekend. Mm. A little Friday night, but not too bad. I think Friday night's mostly good. We're going to have Wagyu burgers. Yeah. With some hash, and then I'm sure some fucking zucchini bread.
Who knows?
I'm thinking, dude, I got a feeling, and I'm all right with it. You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to laugh because she might not have any zucchini.
I'm going to be honest with you. If she didn't shred it to freeze it for special occasions, we're going to have a talk. You know? Mm-hmm. So it's pretty much going to be maybe a little Friday night. Definitely the worst will be Saturday. Sunday will be the second worst. Mm-hmm. I actually think Sunday might be worse than Saturday. Here's why. Saturday, I'm going to be somewhat disciplined, but then I'm going to start eating sugar.
So then Sunday,
I'm going to be like, sugar. As soon as I eat sugar, there's something in my brain that's like, you need more. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, why? And it's like, because you do. So anyways.
You should, it's like my favorite story that you tell, about my family's desserts. And this is why Christmas isn't going to be bad.
Back in 2017, it's about 11 months, 12 months into Sam and I dating, and I get invited to Christmas. And at this time, I am 220 pounds. I've cleaned up my act quite a bit, but I still know that I love me a good sweet. And my favorite holiday was Thanksgiving because you got to eat like a fat fuck. Mm-hmm. My second favorite was Christmas because you ate again like a fat fuck. Because essentially Christmas was just Thanksgiving, but with more sugar for our family. And so I'm going to Sam's Christmas, and on the drive up, I'm like, hey, babe, what do we got up there? We got some pies. What kind of cookies we got? Who makes what? We got some, like, banana bread. What do we got? Like, what am I looking forward to? And Sam's like, we got Sam buckles.
Well, I think you just asked me just in general, like, will there be desserts?
I was like, is there going to be some good dessert?
And I was like, yeah, there's going to be some really good desserts.
Yeah, my favorite dessert. Sambuckles, is that the fuck that is? Mm-hmm. Sambuckles and Krumkaka.
Krumkaka.
And I'm like, what the fuck is this, dude? And you're like, I swear it's so good. Just wait.
And the rosettes and...
and rosettes. And I'm like, none of this shit's like... I'm like, I know what good food is. And none of this is sounding like that. And we get there. And it's just like some deep... It's like a fucking... the cone of an ice cream cone. It's essentially what you're eating is like a plain ice cream cone, and not like a waffle cone, right? Is that what it's considered? The waffle cone?
Yeah, the Krumkaka. Yeah, that's the Krumkaka. Yeah. I'm
like, and they're like, oh yeah, you sprinkle a little powdered sugar on it. It's delicious. I was like, this isn't dessert. This is something they'd feed you in a concentration camp. I'm like, what the fuck am I eating, dude? And everyone there's like, oh my God, this is so good. And I was like, do you guys have a fucking candy dish or something? And thank God they had some Reese's eggs from fucking last Easter. I was like, well, at least I'll be able to make it through this day. And so I eat the dish of fucking candy just trying to get my sugar high that I was expecting to have, while these fucking heathens are eating nothing, bland ice cream cones, saying that they're having the greatest time of their lives.
Dude, and it's so funny too because sandbuckles are like, they're very grainy. Like, it's almost like you're eating like a sugary sand.
It's disgusting. I'm just like, why would people eat this?
And we've, like, those have been the types of desserts that we've had my whole life. So, like, when I met Shaun and Shaun's like, about all these sweets and desserts and things, like, it ruined me.
Dude, I'm like, here's the deal. My Christmas, we got cinnamon rolls. We've got pies.
Cookies galore.
Every type of cookie you could think of. There's usually some sort of like muffin / cupcake thing or banana bread of sorts. There's always homemade bread. Every type of dipped pretzel in with like chocolate covered pretzels, chocolate covered cookies. You name it, chocolate covered chocolate. Cheesecakes. What's the things we were pounding down at Kim's the other time? There was strawberry, or we were testing raspberry versus blueberry, or cherry versus blueberry cobblers.
Oh yeah,
like cobblers, dude. That's what we got, and it's like the whole. If you just picture a whole island filled with just sugar, baked goods, and then on the table there's like multiple dishes of fucking Reese's peanut butter cups and shit like that. And it's essentially what we're doing is we're all just fast tracking diabetes. And so you go from that to being offered a waffle ice cream cone with some powdered sugar sprinkled on it. I was like, where's the blueberry pie? And they're like, what is a pie? And I should have known then that I should have got out of the family. But here I am.
Now you're stuck.
8 years later, wondering what I did.
Hey, at least you got hunting land out of the deal.
You know what? There are pros to every situation. That is one. Yeah.
Got you a nice buck this year, too.
It sure did, dude. See, you know what? That's why I keep you around. That and leftover food. Anyways, that's not what we're here to talk about today.
No, it's not.
We're going to talk about two concepts. They're similar concepts. Is that okay to talk about those today?
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about the other thing?
Yeah, I don't care.
Two concepts.
I mean, you wanted a 30-minute podcast, so we'll see if you keep it under that.
I gotta get to bed. You know what I'm saying? I gotta get some rest.
Yeah. Respite.
I gotta get some good respite. All right, so we've got the 80-20 rule. Everybody knows the 80-20 rule. And if you don't, we're about to tell you. More importantly, something I heard today, which I've heard of before, but it gave me a good reminder of it. And it's kind of how I live my life because it's what I prefer. It just aligns more with my personality. The 90% rule.
So 2 different rules.
2 different rules, kind of similar. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
We'll start with, let's do the 80-20.
Yeah. Let's start with the one that everyone knows.
So 80-20. In business, 80% of your income, 80% of your business, whatever, comes from 20% of the work. Mm-hmm. Okay? So 20% of your work yields 80% of your results. Okay? It's like that in, a lot of that's in your personal life as well. 20% of the work yields 80% of the results. Mm-hmm. And the other 80% of work yields you 20% of results. Mm-hmm. So that's a lot of your dumb filler work, answering your emails, whatever it is, right? A lot of that 80% actually for the 20% is like your work up front to turn the 20% to turn it into the 20% work. You know what I'm saying? So developing a good SOP, developing a good system, developing good programs, shit like that.
Yeah.
A lot of that, like doing the 80% of work up front is good because that turns into how you make it 20%. Mm-hmm. Tracking?
Mm-hmm. Sorry, my sweatpants are too tight.
Makes sense. So 80-20 rule, essentially what it's telling you is be careful getting stuck in the 80% of busy work. That's only going to yield you 20% of your income. This is the best fucking example is what we just talked about today. Whiskerea's got a new SOP, and I had a meeting today with the CEO, Misty, and I said that there should be an incentive for renewals. Because there's an incentive for signups and new signups, incentive for new signups, but no incentive for renewals. And the reason they did it that way is it's kind of hard to determine what renewal goes with what location. I get it, but I was like, we already have those people secured. There should be an incentive to keep those relationships, nurture those relationships. And get them coming back every year, because the more you can have that same culture in the group, the more you can have them coming year after year after year, builds more commitment and family style to the group. Mm-hmm. Everybody's growing together. Everybody's learning, getting better together. You know what I'm saying? And so the 80-20 rule is this. 80% of the income of Whiskerea, or 80% of our members, comes from 20% of the work. Mm-hmm. Nurturing our current members so that they renew.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
And so there should be an incentive for that, I believe.
Yeah.
Compared to 80% of the work of getting new members, so for 20% of what would be the new members, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's if we focus on the 20% of work for the 80% yield, it's just a lot less energy we have to give to make it that, operate that well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you can do it's not wrong to do the extra work for the extra yield. It's not wrong. It's just being aware of where you're putting your time.
Yeah, it's just not forgetting that 80%.
Right.
Because it's so easy, once you have something down and once you if we continue with the renewals, right? It's just so easy to be okay, they're already a member, they're already part of this group, I don't need to talk to them or whatever. It's so easy to just put it off to the side because you're just they're already good. It's already good. I got they're here, it's handled, it's already good, I can go focus on something else. But you should be like continually nurturing those.
100%.
And it just has to be the littlest bit.
Yep. Dude, I will say this in our company. My 80% of work is customer. Going and doing customer estimates, filling all that shit out, doing all that for 20% of our income. Our 80% of our income comes from our 20% of work of me getting flips.
Yeah.
It is atrocious how true that is.
Yeah. Which we're working on some systems and stuff to make that better.
Yeah, for sure.
So it'd still be only 20% of our income, but it won't take up 80% of his time.
Right, yeah. With the right system is in place. Yep. Which I start building out. We start building out. So that's 80-20. And it applies to life and stuff. If you listen or read to the 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss, he talks about, I think that's who it is. I don't even have it on me. That's what he talks about. I think there's a book called the 80-20 Principle.
There is.
Yeah.
I don't think we own it, but there is one called that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of cool. Next thing is, so good on 80-20? Mm-hmm. All right, the next thing is the 90-10 rule. And I've heard it said kind of a couple different ways. But so what the 90-10 rule is, and this is how I diet. Mm-hmm. I diet the 90-10 rule.
Yeah.
So 90-10 rule is you're trying to be better than 90% of the population. So essentially you're putting yourself in the top 10%. Mm-hmm. So in order to do that, if you think about it, like for flipping, for example, if we continue, like we're going to continue flipping, so flipping's not our main business.
Right.
Flipping's our main focus, but it's not the only thing we do, right?
Right. Yeah.
So flipping is our main focus, but it is not. We also do rentals and we do customer work for construction, right? So like flipping's the main focus, but we've got other things alongside of it. Well, so in 5 years, 5 more, we've been doing this for 4 years, like 3 years full-time, 4 years, whatever. So in like 5 more years, we're going to be when you're talking about flipping houses, we're going to be in the top 10% of the population for flipping houses, mm-hmm. Based on like transactions, profits, knowledge, things like that, right? Just through the sheer continuing of doing flips and all that shit, right? Because 90% of the population isn't doing flips.
Right.
And plain and simple, right? Mm-hmm. So you're going to put yourself in better than 90% of the population. Now, that's good because we didn't have to put, like we just said, that's 20% of my time. We didn't have to put in crazy amounts of work without thinking or doing anything else, right? Like mm-hmm. that being our only focus. But if we wanted to be the best, if we wanted to be number one in flipping, or we even wanted to be in the top 1% of flippers in the world, we would not be able to do anything else. We would not be able to worry about doing rentals. We would not be able to worry about doing construction. We probably wouldn't really have many hobbies. Our family life might not be the best. Like, if we want to be the best, if we want to be the best flipper out there, you're going to have to sacrifice everything to mm-hmm. be there, right? And so it's I personally don't have that personality. I'd rather be able to put forth 20% effort, to be in the top 10%, mm-hmm. And still be able to do other things to help supplement it, and also be able to do other hobbies and other things we enjoy.
Yeah.
And so like, it kind of is similar to lifting weights. Like, if you want to be the best lifter in the world, like I knew guys who weightlifted like professionally, competitively, whatever, and they would train full time, like around, I think, 18 sessions a week. Roughly 18 sessions a week they would train. Not to mention 3 massages a week, chiro a few times a week, PT a few times a week, rehab all the time. They had to get sponsorships because they really could only work like 10 hours a week if they could even, get that in. And that was to be a professional lifter, right? So you're dedicating your whole life. You don't have a bunch of hobbies. You don't have a business, whatever.
You're not going out drinking. You're not hanging out with friends.
Right. Or if you do, it's at a minimum, right?
Right, yeah.
So that's your main focus. That's your push, right? And so, but however, like on the other side is if you want to be in the top 10% of lifters, so you just want to be a good lifter, strong, you can drop that down and lift 5 days a week. Mm-hmm. Or five times a week. Instead of 18 sessions a week, you could do 5 sessions a week. And you can eat pretty good. You can still grab some drinks with some friends. You can have a career. Mm-hmm. You can have other hobbies. You can do other things. You don't have to get a massage, chiro, PT every week. You just do it as needed, or and you could be in the top 10% of lifters.
Yeah.
And so the idea behind it is neither way is right nor wrong. It's asking yourself, honestly, what is your personality type? What do you prefer? Some people want to be the best. Mm-hmm. Some people, that's their thing, is to be the best. Well, then go be the best. There's nothing wrong with that. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Good for you. Just know that the amount of sacrifice you have to have is massive compared to someone else. Where me, I've really never had, not much have I had the urge to be the best in something.
Yeah.
Even when I was weightlifting, I wasn't like, man, I want to be the best weightlifter. I was like, man, I just want to be a really good lifter. Mm. And so I'm a little different in that realm, than most people. I don't, it hasn't really been a thing where I'm like, I need to be first.
Yeah.
Which doesn't help me all the time. But I just know that that's not my personality. That's not me. And so I prefer to be pretty good at a lot of shit. Mm-hmm. I like being pretty good at a lot of things. And so, I live by the 90-10 rule. I have been for years. I'd rather be really good at multiple things than to be the best.
Yeah.
And it allows me then to be able to fill my basket with a lot of things, right? So I'm able to have a good career. I'm able to have multiple hobbies that I love. And it also will then allow me time to spend time with family and stuff.
Yeah.
And so just ask yourself, what is your personality? What do you want? How do you want to live your life? And then it'll give you a good idea of how much time you should be putting into something. Mm-hmm. And not to get into a balance talk or anything, but I know that I'm not going to be the best jiu-jitsu guy out there, right? So we got a lot of shit to do before baby comes. Mm-hmm. So tonight I'm okay, I could go to class or I could get shit done that I've been pushing off for a long time.
Yeah.
So I'm I'm going to just get the shit done that I've been pushing off, because at the end of the day, me missing one session of jiu-jitsu in the grand scheme of things isn't going to affect much.
Right.
Now, if I was trying to be number one, it would.
Yeah.
To be, if you're trying to be number one, go in and train. But I know in the grand scheme of things, that one session's not going to be. Now, I'm still going to get in Friday. I'm still going to make sure I got 2 sessions in this week, But, like, there's things like that where I will ask myself, like, what is the, like, like, what will it matter? Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, it's not going to matter.
The cool thing about, like, the 90% thing, too, is, like, once you put in the work and, like, get up there to be good or to be not at the 10% or whatever, it's so easy to maintain then. Mm-hmm. So then, like, I always just think about this with, like, muscles and lifting. Like, once you lift for long enough and, like, you get a good base, you don't have to put in as much effort to keep that base.
Yeah.
So, like, Shaun wasn't lifting as much. And, like, sure, his abs went away a little bit, but, like, his biceps were still big, his pecs were still big, his quads were still big. Like, everything was really big, even though he cut his lifting down in half.
Bro, I went from training, like, 5 to 6 days a week down to, like, 2 to 3. And my body composition barely changed.
Yeah.
My strength, it took a toll, but by about maybe like 15%.
Yeah.
So like to cut down like 50 to 65% of the amount I train to lose 10 to 15%. Mm-hmm. Because then I just put that time into like jujitsu instead.
Because I've even noticed, like, with pregnancy, I haven't been lifting nearly as much or as heavy or anything. And, like, I still, like, my quads are still pretty big yet. My biceps are still there. So, like, I haven't lost a whole lot of, like, the
muscle
shape
composition.
of me. Yeah. So I like to think about it like that. Like, eventually you'll get to a point where you don't need to put in as much effort to be where you're at.
Oh, dude. So, yeah. So, I started working out when I was 14. I'm 29 now. And I was told that, as I'm working out in high school, just wait till you graduate high school, man. You'll be done lifting. I graduate high school. I increase my lifting. Then I'm in college and they're like, just wait till you're done with college. You'll quit lifting. I did end up, after graduating college, about a year or 2 after that's when I cut back a lot of my training. Probably a few years after college.
Yeah. Are you talking about like you cut back to like 3 days a week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, few years after college, I did cut back how much I trained. Because I was still, because even then, we were still training a lot until like 2022, because that's when I started doing like jiu-jitsu, and 2022 is when I started doing like striking, and then 2023 is when I started doing jiu-jitsu. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I guess I was like 4 years after when I finally like cut that back. But I didn't stop.
Yeah, because I think we were pretty cut back, and then we did 75 hard, and then I think we ramped up again.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, but people would always say, to me, like, they, like, even my friends, like, to this day still. And so keep in mind, I've been training 15 years. And now that I'm on TRT, it helps me retain a lot more. But you got to keep in mind, when I'm not on TRT, I sit around the testosterone level of a 70-year-old man, so like 230. So like the average person at my age, who's not a soy boy, like I've got a lot of friends my age, they're in like the 700s naturally. And so I'm at 230. So anyways, I take TRT now. I sit around like 750. Mm-hmm. So I mean that help. Without that, I just fall apart.
Yeah.
But so anyways, I'm able to eat. Like if I want to, like I eat good 90% of the time. So when I'm out with some friends or whatever and we want to take down some grub, I'll eat everything. Mm-hmm. I'll eat it all. Mm-hmm. I'll smoke a little joint and I will eat egregious amounts, couple few thousand calories in a sitting. And people are like, fuck you. Like my friends who, you know, might not be in as good a shape, who haven't really worked out most of their life. And they're like, fuck you that you can eat like that and look like that. And it's like, well, yeah, but you have to think.
You put in the time.
I put in 15 years to do, you know, so I put in 15 years of time. And so now when I do something like that, it's the 90-10 rule. It's like, and so I put in all that work. And not to mention, my diet's good 90% of the time. So when I do this stuff, like, I'm all right the next day.
Yeah.
You know, I look good. Mm-hmm. I feel like shit for the night, and then the next day, I recover and I'm all right.
Yeah. Yeah, and, like, if you think about it with business, too, like, or not just, like, lifting or anything like that. Like, if you put in the time and the effort, then, like, you only have to do, like, a little bit of continuing education to keep up with, like, technology or things changing. Like, in the flipping world, like, you're probably not in the 90% of, like, flipping knowledge for sure.
No.
But let's say in 10 years we are.
Right.
We should be in 10 years, to be honest. But, like, some of the things that we'll just have to keep up on are, like, the changes in, like, design, because things come and go, or, like, codes change. But that's, like, such a minuscule amount of time that we'll have to put into it at that point that it, like, it won't even affect us. And It's not even, like, a 10% of time. It's probably what would be, like, 1 to 2%.
Oh, right. Well, and you also got to think about this, too, about, like, kind of putting in that time up front. So this is maybe getting away from the rule a little bit, and talking more about, like, the 80% of work you put in to get the 20% result. It's like we were talking to Sarah Lund. After being in business for 8 years, pretty much most of her business now is word of mouth referrals, because she's worked with so many clients and built that up over the last 8 years that now, like, she doesn't have to market. She doesn't have to spend time doing all those things. She just word of mouth, and, like, her reputation speaks for herself.
Yeah.
And so, like, there's a lot of businesses like that where if you do things right, you treat people right, you got the right values, you do quality work, like, in 10 years, a lot of your business is just from word of mouth. And you don't have to worry about doing all your marketing, all that shit. And then also, not to mention, after 10 years, probably have all your contracts down. Like for us, like what we've been building out, what we started building out is our estimators. So having different estimating, like a different estimating spreadsheet for every different type of job, with every task involved. And so slowly building that out as we do the projects, so that we have, like, all the steps it takes to redo a kitchen, all the steps we do to redo a bathroom, all the steps we do to redo a tile bathroom, all the steps to do siding, you know? And so we have all these, and we'll spend the time up front developing them. So if I go out, whether it's a customer job or a flip, I can go out there. I can say, "Oh, we need a new bathroom." Put it into the spreadsheet. It'll populate out all the tasks, all the things the guys have to do to redo that bathroom, the costs associated with it. Boom, there you go. Either give the estimate to the customer or give it to the guys so we know for the flip.
Yeah.
And so doing that shit up front, spending that extra time up front, makes it so life is so much easier for us down the line, and we will be in the top 10%, you know, in how we operate, and we'll be able to be operating at the 80-20 20% of our effort bringing us 80% of our work.
And then we'll just have to spend minuscule amount of time like tweaking the numbers, tweaking the spreadsheets and stuff. Cool. Well, that's what I got for tonight.
All right, gang. Catch you on the next one.
See ya.